If you saw the last episode of our Rail 200 build, which is our only episode until now, you would see that I started laying track and putting on some very fiddly ground position lights, and Lenny had already got as far as painting his baseboard. This week, he's going to build an aqueduct and a level crossing, and I'm going to work on this lovely little metcalfe cottage here. Doesn't look like a metcalfe kit, does it? Well, I'll show you how I made it not look like a metcalfe kit. Why don't you come and see? With the intention of having working signals, I set about bashing some Ratio GWR kits.
Right, other thing I need then for the layout is some big main signals. So I bought these some time ago, and I've got the GWR home and the GWR junction bracket. So London Brighton South Coast Railway use lower quadrant, which is good. But the lenses on the GWR kind of give it away that it's a GWR signal. So I tried to think of a way I could make it look more London Brighton. On the post, we'll cut this bit off and put like a little square top on top of the post as per the actual signals. And then for the arm, because the junction one comes with spares, or you can choose between a distance signal or a home signal. I've just cut the lens off the distance signals. I don't intend to use it, and then cut the blue off the home, and then have merged them together. Bit of filler just to fill any gaps, and I'll touch that up with a bit of paint, and that looks more like a London Brighton signal in regards to the lens. Obviously I need to change that yellow for a blue, but I've got some Tamiya clear blue to try and sort that out, and putting it on there will probably result in it going green, but you know, it'll be close enough. Okay, been steadily progressing with the signal, and one thing I wanted was the lamp to actually illuminate the lenses on the signal, and I've achieved it, as you can see here. Bring it round, you can see there's the green shining through, not as brightly as I liked, but that's because I've put blue over that yellow lens, but it still works. And then we've got a nice, get the camera in the line. There we are, the red's nicely illuminated as well. So, how did I achieve that? Well, it's an LED, obviously, a very, very small one. In fact, so small the camera is struggling to focus on it. I think even if I pan back and try and zoom in, that's zooming out. It's, yeah, it's struggling to find it. But there we go, that's, it is a case of it's an LED, and then I've got two brass strips. That, in fact, I don't know why it's... Right then, there we go. That's the lens. Just had to pause the video because the camera, I think I had a fingerprint on the lens, it's blurring. And then as you can see, I've got just a couple of wires that I think are just discreet enough, you can't notice them. And they go to these two brass rods that then run down the length of the ladder just to disguise that all. And I'll paint them black and blend it in, and you won't even notice. Although I did melt the ladder at the bottom when I tried to reattach the white wires, so I've got to sort that out. But yeah, I'm quite pleased how that's come out. So yeah, just needs a little bit of tidying up. Once that's done, the arm can then be attached properly as per the instructions, so that it will move with the mechanism, and yeah, we'll have one illuminated working signal. Okay, this is as far as I have got with my diorama build. The signals are in place, and as is all the signalling levers underneath. So these are made up with, I'm sure I just haven't demonstrated it before, but I took some wooden cutlery, glued them together, and then chopped them up. I didn't have quite enough lovely rounded ends to use, so I had to round off some myself. It's a little ropey looking, I suppose, but it'll be fine. And yeah, it's all working now, he says, as he tries to demonstrate a set of points. There you go. They're moving. The signals work. There we are. And more importantly, those scratch-built ground position signals that took me goodness knows how long work as well, as do the uncoupling ramps, which are still got to work on how I'm going to disguise all these, because they are unsightly in that track. Although these These two I have marked out to be part of a barrow crossing, so they should blend in easily. I'm not sure about that one, and I'm not sure about that one. That one's also twisted, which is annoying me. I need to sort that out. But oh, I've had an idea. Well, I'll think about that. Come back to you. But there we go. Yeah, so that is that. It's all pretty much complete. There's one more job to do, and that is I need a limit of shunt signal here. And I'm going to make that with a red LED so that it lights up. I would have loved to have made these light up, but they were intense enough as it was to make without trying to put a light in, which is a shame because it would really set the scene, especially as these signals do light up. But yeah, I'm going to put a little red LED on there so the limit of shunt can light up. So if we do a night scene, apart from the two GPLs, which unfortunately I can't light up, I think it'll look pretty sweet. So there we are. So I'm continuing with the build of this diorama competition piece, and as you can see, we now have a signal box. This is made of card and some robbed parts from an old laser cut signal box kit. So I've stolen the windows and the staircase and the door and all the interior detail. So we've got a clock on the wall, we've got the desk, we've got the stove, there's the lever frame in there. We've got a block bell and the indicator box and a track diagram. So it is missing a token machine really. You should have a token machine of some description, but it's quite cramped in there. But I didn't want to make the box too big because obviously it would dominate the scene, because this is the original box. You can see I robbed it for parts. And that would have been quite dominant at that size, so I made it something a bit smaller. Downside is there's nowhere for the signalman to sit, which is outrageous really, but he'll just have to wander over to the station and go sit with the station master or whatever when I build that. But that'll do for now. So there we are, that's the box. Now I'm put the chimney on the right way, there we go. So I think there's best. I've been playing around with the composition of where to put things because it was either going to go here or here, but I felt like it didn't eat into that scene. So I think here is better, and I have like a little lane coming to the station here. I'm not sure about this corner. I've got a couple of thoughts of what I want to do, but I'm not sure where I'm going to go with it just yet. And obviously the goods yard will go over here, and again a little lane that goes off here. It starts to climb uphill, and I'm thinking here it's like the edge of a wood, which is why the old Horsham Traction Company traction engine's there to lift the logs as they start cutting wood in preparation for winter. So I think maybe I'll make this an autumn scene. And then I thought maybe it's a little corner villa. Originally I was going to have like a house or something here, but I think maybe a barn, or I'm not sure. But I just feel like that corner needs something there. So that's kind of where I'm going to go. I'm going to get some insulation board. I'm going to start building up some of the scenery for the back here and see where things take me.
So while I was still trying to work out how the scene would go, the boy was flying ahead by building his aqueduct so the canal can go over the top of the railway.
So I've taken this, I've made crosses along there with that and that. I've cut them out. So I've got the Copydex glue, and I'm just now putting them down where I put the crosses, so like that. And then I'm going to take the next one, going to go there. So I've got a coach, it fits under, so we're just going to go there, that fits under, so I'm going to get these ready, and then also with glue squad I'm going to test fit, and the if the wagon will fit under.
The Aqueduct is a foam board construction, with some blocks cut to shape out of the foam board and then covered in metcalfe brick paper. To finish it off, it'll be covered with some N-gauge girders just to make it look like a more solid structure that's holding the water and taking the canal across the line. Before installing the aqueduct though, the boy took his layout outside and weathered the track work with a simple spray of Humbrol brown paint. And while Lenny was weathering the track, I finally worked out how to set my own scene.
So this is the build so far, and you can see I've added a few more bits. Let's start off with the built up land, which I then just put some cardboard just to tidy it up. That's just made from insulation board that I pulled the silver backing off, glued it on, cut it to shape, all glued on. And you can see I've slightly changed my mind what I want to do. Where that old battered signal box is, that is going to be a house up there. Because I played around with the scene and I didn't think the traction engine up there, I don't think it worked, it didn't flow. So I decided to put it in the yard, like it's loading something into one of the wagons, which I feel is a bit better. And then here we have a water crane, or water tower should I say. And it's not quite installed yet, but as you can see, I've nearly lost my wagons off the edge of the board. Save them. But yeah, I'm going to try it, make it so that the arm operates and you can water up your loco. So next job then is back over to that corner over there, the hill. I'm going to build a house.
With the track weathered, then he was back to working on his aqueduct, and he was adding the top section of the bridge by using a platform kit to make the edges. The aqueduct would need a towpath, and this is where a rather ingenious idea arose. Using some N-gauge stone Peco platform edging and turning it on its side, giving it a bit of weather, all of a sudden you got yourself a very nice towpath to fit onto the aqueduct. So while Lenny carried on with his aqueduct, I was going to build a house.
And for my house, I'm going to use this free railway modeler kit, which I think was exclusive to, well, it says readers up there, but I'm sure it's a subscriber only gift. But I can't be certain. But it doesn't matter, because I've got one. I'm going to build the kit. I'm then going to try and enhance it from its printed look and try and get it a bit more realistic looking. So, obviously get rid of the, these corners here, that, and the less of the printed look. So, yeah, this will kind of be the shell of it, and then I'll work on it. So, off I go.
I wanted to add lights to the building, which meant that I'd have to have some interior detail. So, I made a living room.
I didn't feel the need to go drastic with the detail upstairs because I'm not going to put a light in there. So when it's night time, it'll just be the downstairs living room that's lit up. But as there's 3 windows, there is a little bit of light that gets in when you put the roof on. So depending on how strong the light is, you might just be able to view in. So I thought I'd just have a representation of furniture in there. So these are just bits of foam board that I've just painted up. Looks like a wardrobe, looks like a bed, very crude. There's a very crude rug on the floor. Very crude, I don't know what that is. I just painted it a reddish brown, I don't know, a dresser or something. But once the roof's on, you would just sort of be able to vaguely see through and see there's something up there, but I didn't think I have to spend too much time on it. So, for whatever reason, I have absolutely no footage of me making this house whatsoever, which is a bit daft. I don't know if I've lost it or just forgot to do it. But essentially I've taken a metcalfe kit and tried to turn it into a more realistic looking model, which I'm hoping I've achieved. To do that then, I painted the walls with a mix of white paint with talcum powder, and then painted it on, and that's how I've got the rendered effect on the walls. The stonework, then I followed the pattern of what was originally printed, cut some card to the same size, painted it stone colours and glued it on in the corners, and that's the same with the lintels and the windowsills. The windows themselves, I've used sticky post labels, cut them into fine 2mm and 1mm strips just to make the windows, and then put them on the original printed see-through plastic that comes with the kit. The barge boards, they're all from the original kit, just been painted with a nice blue colour. And then obviously the biggest change to this is the thatched roof, because I have been wanting to make a thatched roof for a very, very long time. But as I model Wales, there it is over there, I tend to have a lot of slate roofs, so the opportunity hasn't come up until now. So I was going to use the original sort of same design and do a tiled roof like the kit, and I thought, no, I've got some plumber's hemp. I bought that for this very purpose of having a go at a thatched roof, so I thought I'd give it a go. So this is my first ever attempt at making a thatched roof. I'm quite pleased with it. I'm sure I can do better in the future, but you know, for a first go, I think it's gone out all right. So yeah, plumber's hemp for the thatch, glued on in strips, then trimmed down with a beard trimmer, and then gone over a pair of scissors just to tidy it up a bit. Then on the top, just got some fine florist wire and glued it on for the finishing touches. Chimney pot is just a chimney pot from, I think, a Ratio or Peco kit of some description, just a spare one glued on rather than the rolled piece of paper that Metcalfe usually supply. And that is the cottage. So that's a Metcalfe kit that I've tried to make look a little bit more realistic. You can see it's got a bit of weathering on there as well. The weathering, that one I'm certain I did record, so we can come back to that one later. Right, that is the house on the hill. It's done, I'd say. I've got to get those wires into the ground somehow. Always plan ahead, they say. So I did that by putting this ground cover on and having no hole drilled underneath, and no idea how to feed those wires through. But anyway, worry about that later. Right then, I have drawn out roughly where the station is going to go. I think I drew the station building here, but I don't know if it's going to be a bit heavy on the building side of this end of the layout and a bit empty this side, so I thought maybe it'd be better going there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out a cardboard template and sort of play around with it, work it out. But for the moment, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do over here, the goods yard, because I bought these kits at Model World Live. And they originally were intended for Lenny's entry piece, but we realised that the platforms were too narrow to fit the platform shelter that he had in his bits box. So I've kept hold of them, and I think I can kit bash them into something that I can use as a goods platform. So just a sort of unloading area, and then maybe a little storage bin or something behind, so that we've got somewhere to put some of the goods that are unloaded from vans. I don't want it too big because I still want to get access for the coal size and for the traction engine to load up wagons. So let's just see how I get on. So while I moved on to my next building, the aqueduct was finished, and you can see it in the background as Lenny started his level crossing.
So I'm going to take this Peco level crossing with some card. So I'm going to take some of the glue I have, glue it onto the bottom, and then take this bit of card, put it here, then I'm going to have this bit, which I'm going to put here, but first I need to make sure it's right in the centre before I glue it. So I'm just going to take a small bit of glue, then I'm going to put it straight in the centre. I'm going to take this bit and carefully place it into the middle, and then after that I can put it onto the build. And then that's the last one done. So here is the last one I made. That's the first one. So it's got these and a bit that's going to sit in the crack all together. And then I'm going to get some paint and paint these bits like that using this tarmac paint. And after that I'm going to do the other bits. It's going to be a simple process of painting and then gluing. I have now got the glue. We've painted these in the tarmac colour. So I'm going to take the first one, flip it upside down, then take the Copydex glue, spread it all along the bottom like that. Then I'm going to turn it back round and glue it on the baseboard. After I've done that, I'm going to take this coat and roll it over and see if the flange will pass through before moving on to the middle bit, which will simply be glued down on these bits. I just cut from a metcalfe platform kit, and then I'm going to glue them onto the rails. This is the coat. It works. So then I can move on to the last one and do the same process. Which is good.
Well, that's all for this episode. Hope you've enjoyed it. Next time I'm going to move on to working on the good shed, which is a scratch build, and Lenny will be working on his station platforms before making some trees. So lots to look forward to. Hopefully I'll see you next time. If you click that subscribe button, we can guarantee it, I think, depending on YouTube's algorithm. It doesn't always tell you that it's whoever you subscribe to has got a new video. So if you click the bell item, it will. Otherwise, click the like button, and hopefully I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. Glory, said Duck's driver. Look at that. There's episodes, subscribing, and playlists.